So, what did you study in grad school, and what is that one research that you find really interesting?
So I studied linguistics, specifically speech perception. So that's how humans are able to understand the sounds of a language. And I've always been really fascinated in how we as people are able to adapt to variation in language. So language naturally varies. When you talk about how a child produces something versus an adult, or a native versus a non-native speaker of a language. And I studied this adaptation process in both adults and young children. And so one study I was involved in was looking at 2.5-year-old children, how they're able to understand child versus adult speech. Because you can imagine that for children, this is a very difficult task, understanding language. They're having to create entries in their mental dictionary of different words. And if someone they encounter speaks words very differently from them, it becomes very difficult. And so what we did was we played recordings of that child's own speech, their own mother's speech, and then a stranger adult and a stranger child. And you might imagine that that kid would be able to recognize their own speech best, but that in fact was not the case. It was adults that they could understand best. And that gave us some insight into how young children form those mental dictionary entries. So, the entire field is super fascinating, and it's just been an area that I've always been really passionate about.
What motivated you to get into the industry?
Yeah, so, I've always been very interested in doing scientific research. It's problem solving at its heart. It's like a puzzle, and figure out what are the different levers that you need to pull, or what levers do you need to leave alone in order to see some kind of impact. And so I think that was the real appeal of moving into a behavioral science firm like BEworks is being able to leverage what I know and what I love about doing scientific research and applying that to real world challenges. So I co-lead our sustainability portfolio. And so it's really exciting to be able to see how we can take this kind of psychological, scientific lens to be able to help solve some of the biggest challenges that are facing our world right now. So how do we help people optimize how much energy they use, help them optimize or reduce their food waste? So I think that's really what was motivating me, is seeing the kind of real world impact that we can have.
Who is your career inspiration?
So I think for me, who really inspired me in this field, or in the scientific endeavor in general, were actually my graduate advisors. So Dr. Ann Bradlow and Dr. Yue Wang, they're both linguists and really just incredibly smart women who mentored me throughout my graduate career, and they really showed me how not only to practice the scientific discipline, but how to make those connections between kind of individual nitty-gritty scientific findings and link them up to a bigger picture. So how do we connect these findings to a broader paradigm, which I think has just been invaluable to doing science in general, but really invaluable for doing the kind of work that we do at BEworks and working with clients to help solve their challenges.